Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is Ni No Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, remastered for the PS4. It was released in 2019, and it's a single-player RPG, developed by Level 5 and Studio Ghibli, and published by Namco Bandai, at least here in Europe. And there'll be spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first a little backstory. So I've been looking at this physical copy at the electronics boutique for weeks now, and I finally picked it up because I got a great deal on it. And as you start up the game, you agree to company logos and a license agreement and a privacy policy, because that's how things work. And then you get to the title screen where you can pick between new game, audio and language settings, and 4K settings. And the cool thing about this game is that it's actually has some PS4 Pro features, but the way I played the game this week was on my PS5. So before the game really begins, you have to pick the difficulty settings. So you have to pick between easy and normal. And easy is focused more on story, and normal is more of the classic RPG experience where you have to grind a bit. And then you're introduced to the main character, Oliver and Drippy, this fake fairy creature. And they're in a field, and there's some I guess they're called bisons, but in this game they are actually called Ulk. So they're in this fantasy world, and these Ulk are charging by, and Drippy explains that this is his world. And then you get some intro credits, and then cutting to Motorville, where Olive is running some errands for his mom, picking up groceries at this place called Lila's Milk Bar. And then there's a cutscene playing. It's straight out of a Studio Ghibli movie, like classical animation style. And well outside, he gets to talk to his friend Phil. And this is like a tutorial section. And Oliver and Phil have plans for tonight, so they're supposed to test drive their homemade car, which is kind of a scary and cool experience, I guess. And while this is happening, the White Witch is watching from a crystal ball from her, I guess her world. And then Oliver goes home to his mom with the groceries. And then it's time for breakfast. And after that, well, Oliver goes to school. And the day passes as normal. And during the night, they're supposed to go out and test Phil's car. So this is part of the tutorial section as well. So you go out and look if the coast is clear so you can drive your illegally built car down the street, I guess. Meanwhile, this is happening. There's this girl called Mary watching from a window. And meanwhile, while this is happening, Oliver's mom realizes that he's gone, and she goes out to look for him because she's worried, of course. And that leads to her... actually, the car kind of crash lands or drives into the water, and Oliver's mom jumps in to save her, and she has a very weak heart, but it's also the witch's doing, so his mom actually dies, and it's a really sad moment. And of course, Oliver is sad, and he has a flashback to when he got a handmade toy from his mom, and he cries, and the tears that he cry brings the toy back to life. So this is the other character called Drippy. So he's basically a fake creature with a lantern on his nose. He's a bit, I found him kind of pushy and straightforward, and he explains to Oliver that basically the backstory of his world, and there's also a thing where Oliver is apparently the chosen one, and his mom was sort of a great sorceress or something like that. So there are this ties between, there are basically two versions of a person, one in Motorville and one in the Ni No Kuni world, if that makes sense. So Drippy explains to Oliver there might be a way to actually save Oliver's mom due to this whole parallel world connection thingy. So, but he also needs to save their world. That's very important. So while doing so, he needs a wand and he needs a spell book. So they go into the fireplace and they find a spell book there because that's where you put spell books, I guess. And then you go around town looking for a wand, and you get a bottomless bag, which is like a storage for items that you get throughout the journey. So Oliver continues to look around the neighborhood for a wand, and Drippy goes home to look there. And meanwhile, Oliver run into this girl with green hair, and he actually met her before when he was looking if the coast was clear for the illegally built car. So she disappears and he finds a wand in her place, and this is actually tied to an Easter egg that I'll talk about later. So now when Oliver has a wand, he needs to cast the spell Gateway to get to this world of Ni No Kuni. So they need to go to a large space to cast the spell. And by the way, I have to tell, normal people can't see magic and they can't see fey folk. So they cast a spell into a huge gateway to go through it, and they end up in the world of Ni No Kuni, where they're back to the cutscene of the beginning of the movie, or the beginning of the game, I should say, where the elk, the ulk, the bison are charging by. And then you get your first battle. It's a tutorial battle where you fight a dog, one of the more easier enemies. So after that, you're heading to Ding Dong Dell, which is the capital of this land, and you need to get a map of the world. But of course, you can't just walk into Ding Dong Dell because one of the guards are heartbroken, so you need a spell in order to progress to fix his broken heart, to mend it. So you need to go and find the old man in the deep dark forest. So yeah, I was heading over there, I found the location, and I battled some more, and I level up. Classic RPG stuff. When you level up, you get stronger and stuff like that. And I also find a waystone, which is a place where you save and you replenish your health and magic. You can also save and replenish your health and magic at inns by sleeping there, but that becomes like a thing later in the game when you actually get access to Ding Dong Dell. So I found the old man, and he's a tree, a physical tree, and he learns or teaches you the spell on how to form a familiar from your heart. So it's basically a derpy looking thing. If you've seen the movie Ponyo, when she's not completely transferred, or transformated I should say, big eyes and derpy looking. So basically this creature or familiar levels up with you, and he gets stronger and he gets more attacks and stuff as you level up. And he also taught me, the old man I should say, Healing Touch, which basically is a healing spell for you and yourself, and then Firebolt. So while you are fighting in combat, you actually share a life bar and a mana bar. So it's kind of a tactical thing. When you get more familiars later on, you actually have to switch between the different characters in order to do certain things. And everything has like a timer setting. So if you attack, you have to attack a bit, and then you have to press circle to cancel an attack, to block and dodge and stuff like that, and cast magic. And there's like this wheel you have on the left D-pad where you cycle through the actions. And I wish the game could pause here so you can actually go through it like at your pace, like Knights of the Old Republic, for instance, or as a reference. So the old man needs your help, so you need to defeat the guardian of the forest in order for him to learn you the heartbroken spell, the purity spell, or whatever it was called. So there's some more fighting, and you beat the guardian, and then you are back to Ding Dong Dell to mend the guard's broken heart. And another thing that I forgot to talk about was in combat, when you hit an enemy, there's a chance that an orb will drop, either green or blue, and there's also a golden one that replenish both mana and health. The green one actually just replenish health, and the blue one is mana. So you're running around like crazy on the battlefield trying to fight, pick up these orbs because your health is low, because your mana is low, and stuff like that. It's kind of a crazy thing. This is like a balance to the combat and collecting health pickups and stuff like that. You also get a stone that accompanies you called the Telling Stone, which is like a wise old stone, I guess. So you head to Ding Dong Dell, as I said, and you give the guard some enthusiasm. So the way that this works is you take someone that has way too much enthusiasm and you borrow his heart, his I don't know what to call it. You borrow his enthusiasm and you give it to the guard that was down. So you can do this throughout the journey as well with other NPCs. Some are happy, some are sad, and so on. And then there is a cutscene when you actually enter Ding Dong Dell or been there for a while. So you need new clothing because you have Motorville clothing like jeans and stuff on, and that doesn't fit a fantasy setting, so you have to get clothing. Then you get some more information about bounty huntings, and there's this task board. It basically is extra quests that you do to get items or XP and stuff like that. So you also have these things when you I'm so tired, but there's this stamp card that you get stamps for completing quests, and you get rewards for completing an entirely of a card. And then you go to sleep at the inn, and Oliver dreams of his mom. So the next day, Oliver goes to a seamstress to get some clothes fitted for him, and for some reason the old lady is giving him the clothes for free. And then he's off to see the Cat King, but first, before you go there, you need to give him a red herring. So there's this quest where you need to pick up a red herring, and this is a really cool thing. First, I thought the Cat King was voiced by Mark Hamill. It was a really good voice actor, by the way. And then you're on a fetch quest to get the wand, because the king is heartbroken. Of course he is. So the king, you're supposed to find the king, because when you mend his heart, he runs away somewhere. And that leads you to go back to Motorville to find a cat that has run away. Because remember earlier that I talked about, there are two versions of people, either in Motorville or in Ni No Kuni. So there's some connections. So actually, by finding the cat in Motorville, for some reason, you can find a cat king in the Ni No Kuni world. So meanwhile, back in Ni No Kuni land, the Cat King got too much enthusiasm, so he has actually run away and he is looking for the wand himself. And the trails lead down to a sewer system where there's more fighting and you find these chests. So there is this spell called a spring trap or something like that, so you can open up specific chests so you can get other items like healing loaf and coffee and stuff like that to replenish either mana or health. There's also items that you can pick up that you can give to your familiars, by the way, like pie and stuff like that will make them stronger and more accurate, I should say, in combat. So I grinded a bit in the sewers because the boss coming up was no joke. So I also got another familiar. It's like this monkey creature that can go... He has the skill where he just goes wild and does a lot of damage. He's a bit weaker than your heart summoning creature, but... It's just fine. It's just you switch them out when you need them, and I won the battle. So the battle was between the Rat King and the Cat King. And of course you beat the Rat King in the end, and you get the wand from the king because he believes it was a good gift. So you're off to on another adventure. You're moving on to the quest to save the land of Ni No Kuni. So I played this game on and off this week. I leveled up my characters. I got items and swords and equipment for my familiars. I explored deeper into the forest, you got more spells, you progress. That's how this game works. So the only problem I have with this game is that there's a lot of text and you go a little bit, a few steps, and then you stop and there's more reading and reading. And it was more exhausting because you just wanted to go out there and explore and fight monsters and get new stuff. Well, there's always something new that... this new thing and this new thing, and you get this thing. You even get like a wizard's like companion, like a codex that everything is in. It has all the enemies, weaknesses, it has all the spells and even stories that you get throughout your journey and stuff like that. So there's a lot to take in. But sometimes you just want to have a good old fight. You don't want to just listen to people blabber on for 10 minutes. It's a beautiful looking game, but it has way too much text in it. So gameplay. Oliver and Drippy is on a quest to save the land of Ni No Kuni and stop the evil Shadar's plans, and also reviving his mom. Control, the left stick is movement, the right stick is camera. It can be changed in the options menu. You can invert the y-axis. The X is interact, the triangle is inventory, the start button pauses, and R1 is map. Graphics. So Studio Ghibli worked on the animations and the cutscenes in this game, and it's a really nice movie. I did say movie, didn't I? It's a really nice game. It has this cel shading look to it, which fits the game perfectly. And the cutscenes are straight out of a Ghibli movie. Sound and music. Joe Hisashi and Rei Kondo made the soundtrack for this game, and Joe's vibes really shine through. It's just like watching a Studio Ghibli movie, and I like the music. I can recommend going on YouTube because he did a concert from all the popular Studio Ghibli movies. He performed them live, and it's a really treat. I really like his music. Easter egg secrets and glitches. So at the beginning of the game you get your first wand in Motorville, and on this wand there are some markings like magical symbols. So in your wizard companion or codex or whatever it's called, I forget in the moment, there's this alphabet, like this magical rune system. So it tells you to read the text backwards, and letters doesn't have a spacing with it, so when you read it backwards it gets the phrase out, bringing hope. So that's a little Easter egg, because it took me a while to actually translate it, even though the wizard companion is great with like do this, do that. It's basically like a nice thing to have. In conclusion, I wrote, yes, if you like Studio Ghibli movies and adventures, definitely play this game. So this game has a lot of text and tutorials, and it's really slow. That's the only grudge I have with the game. Otherwise the game looks good, it sounds good, and it has these interesting mechanics in the battle system. So you need a lot of times on your hands to actually play RPGs, and that's why I don't tackle huge RPG series like Final Fantasy and stuff. I really like to, but it takes a whole lot of time, yeah, that's the thing. So if you want like a casual experience, you pick the easier setting, because then you more or less just get the story and some battles. And if you want the full RPG experience, pick normal. Then you actually have to grind before battles and bosses and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're interested in Ghibli movies and adventures and RPGs, then go for this game. I can totally recommend it. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.